I'm Crescent Joyce Venezuela, and this is my research proposal about the tourism implication of building public market food court in Bugasong, Antique. So for the chapter 1 introduction, this research contained background of the study, rationale of the study, objectives of the study, conceptual, theoretical, hypothesis, and paradigm, which give us an idea about implications of putting up a food court at Bugasong Public Market Building. A food court, also called a food hall, is generally an indoor plaza or common area within facility that is contiguous array of autonomous counters of multiple food vendors and provides a common area for self-serve diner, which the customers can eat, buy, order from from a number of different counters and eat in an adjacent eating area. According to the research, Victor Gwen is a man who is credited with the creation of the first modern shopping mall with his 1956 Southdale Mall in Edina, Minnesota. The mall was only featured with fountains, large trees, farmers markets, and multiple restaurants which have its own seating area. But some of their customers wanted to eat different food but had to sit together. The idea of having a restaurant with a common seating area came up, and that's when the modern food court was born in 1971. When every restaurant has to lease their space to share. In some places of learning, such as high schools and universities, food court have also come to replace or complement traditional cafeterias. So for the background and rationale of the study, the intent of conducting this study is the fact that the municipality of Bugasong has proposed a new building to be considered as a food court to be put in the town's public market that could definitely help Bugasongans to grow in hospitality and restaurant business industry and alleviate tourism and economy. It is given that there are already existing restaurants in the public market that offer various menu and meals, especially on peak days like Wednesday and Sundays, which are the market days of Bugasong. These restaurants are positioned and scattered in near and meters away from the market itself that give customers the liberty to choose where to eat. Although it is a fact that prices are not friendly, since competition is not tight as each the restaurants offers a different specialty to allow the establishment to mark up their serving for the meal. By having the proposed food court put up in public market, there will be price control and customers would be able to have freedom to choose the dishes and food they want at an affordable cost. There would be a price control, ceiling, management, and monitoring by the local government as all of the restaurants owners would be regulated by the municipal authorities. Thus, it would also not benefit the market goers of Bugasong but also those are coming from the neighboring towns who go to the market early and need to travel back home. So the general objectives of the study, the research about tourism implication of building public market food court in Bugasong Antique aims to identify potential sanitation practices of the food court in public market, identify potential income contribution to the municipality of Bugasong, identify potential food quality to be served. Hypothesis: if the construction of a food court is completed by having all the restaurants operating in the public market be regulated by the municipal authorities, then we will observe a change in pricing and serving options. For example, a market goer who regularly eats every Sunday in the restaurants and spend 40 pesos for adobo, 10 pesos for the rice, and 15 pesos for soft drinks could have a combo meal package in a food court for the same thing at 50 pesos. Since all restaurants owners will be required to be regulated in terms of serving, pricings, and bidding of locations. The theoretical framework of the study includes different theories of customer satisfaction and quality to be served, models and dimensions of customer satisfactions and service quality, tools and measuring customer satisfaction and service quality and importance of those measurements. The information has been derived from customers' feedback and doing surveys by giving out questionnaires to random market goers. This study is anchored on that service quality is an antecedent of customer satisfaction for both theoretical viewpoint and practical viewpoint across industries. For example, Brandy and Robertson find that service quality affects customer satisfaction in the fast food industry in the United States. For example, Cronin and Taylor believe that service quality has positive impacts on customer satisfaction in four service industries, namely banking, pest control, dry cleaning, and fast food. Similarly, Bay and Chow argue that service quality is positively associated with customer satisfaction in the three service settings, namely petrol station and baking and automobile repairs. Conceptual framework of the study, there are the independent variables and the dependent variables. Bugasong non-market goers, neighboring towns, market goers, and tourists for the independent variables, and sanitation practices, income contribution, and food quality for dependent variables. These reasons for people's food choices are complex and resolved for the interplay of several influences throughout various contexts, although research has found that various factors influence people's food choices, investigators have not considered to be diverse elements affecting the methods of the procedures that people employ for selecting affordable and healthy foods in the context of food courts and restaurants. Therefore, the current study was conducted to better comprehend market goers' choices in relation to affordable and eating behaviors in a restaurants compared to having it in a proposed food court. This qualitative research purposefully sampled three focus group surveys with three different of participants. Those are the market goers of Bugasong, market goers from neighboring towns, and the tourists. To identify important factors that can encourage people to dine or eat in a food court than restaurants and its tourism implication to the town of Bugasong Antique, this would be dependent on sanitation practices, income contribution, and food quality potential of food court establishment. So the operational definition of terms, food court is generally an inner plaza or common area within facility that is contiguous with counters of multiple food vendors and provides common area for self-serve diner. Food courts may be found in shopping malls, airports, and parks. In various regions, it may be standalone development. The restaurant is a place where people pay to sit and eat meals that are cooked and served on the premises. Market goers is someone who shops and buy at a market. Customers refer to an individual or business that purchases another company's goods or services. Hospitality industry is a broad category of fields within the service industry that includes lodging, food and drink service, event planning, theme parks, and transportations. It includes hotels, restaurants, and bars. So the significance of the study, this study will be benefit the following individuals of the group: Bugasong market goers, neighboring towns, and tourists who will find the real meaning of the level of customer satisfaction in a food service establishment like a food court. The restaurant owners who will get a stall in the food court, as well as the local government of Bugasong, who may likewise find result in this study helpful in evaluating the food court and customer management to cope with the objective of satisfying their clients or customers. The result of this research will benefit the tourism industry of Bugasong Antique and will open new opportunities for small restaurants and have a stall in a food court to widen their market, which and have an equal opportunity to sell together and other restaurants owner in the market. So the scope and limitation of the study, this research focused on the level of customer satisfaction and food quality and service quality rendered in the restaurants and how they would feel if these restaurants would have stalls and be regulated in a food court. The respondents chosen for this study are a random selection of customers eating in a random restaurants located in a public market of Gasong. A total of 150 respondents were involved in the study, particularly 50 market goers from Bugasong, 50 neighboring towns, and 50 tourists who happened to go to the market on days like Sundays and Wednesdays. This study is limited to determine the sustainability of the food court once it will be put up. So let's jump for the chapter 3, the methodology, the research design. A community-based cross-sectional study was performed in May 2021, 5 Sundays and 4 Wednesdays, market days for the entire month. In the public market of Bugasong Antique, Bugasong has a total land of 203.71 square kilometers, constituting 7.46% of the 2,729.17 square kilometers total area of Antique. According to the 2050 census, it has a population of 33,642 people, making it the 8th most populous municipality of the province of Antique. A pre-tested structured survey questionnaire in English language was used to gather data needed for this research. The questionnaire included questions about the socio-demographic characteristics of the respondents, 5 questions, cleanliness in the local environment, frequency of trash cans are cleaned in the restaurants and markets, collection of waste materials, washing area availability, frequency of disinfection in restaurants and market area. About sanitation with a 4-scale Likert: 1, use always, 2, usually, 3, sometimes, and 4, never. 4 question, yes or no, about the income contribution of food court to the community, town, generate income, increase tax revenue, invite potential investors, attract more customers, and 5 attitudinal question for the food quality with 5 scale Likert: 0, strongly disagree, 1, disagree, 2, neutral, 3, agree, and 4, strongly disagree. The researchers taking up hospitality management in the University of Antique's Cibalo main campus was extensively trained about the context of the data collection tool, data collection methods, and interviewing techniques for 1 month to complete the data collection process with the guidance of her HM professor and advisor. She distributed survey questionnaires in Bugasong Public Market by random asking to answer the survey questionnaire to 50 Bugasongan market goers, 50 neighboring towns market goers, and 50 tourists for the duration of 9 days, 5 Sundays, and 4 Wednesday market days for the month of May 2021. She has a total of 150 market goers, and the restaurant's customers asked them to fill the questionnaire, check and validated the data. The subject advisor verified the completeness, quality, and consistency of the data she has acquired from the survey questionnaire. So for the study population of sampling procedure, 150 market goers of Bugasong Public Market served as a source population for the current study, which comprised 50 Bugasong market goers, 50 neighboring towns market goers, and 50 tourists. Simple random sampling technique was used to select study participants. She randomly selected 150 respondents, 50 Bugasong market goers, 50 neighboring towns market goers, and 50 tourists in the same town as a study population of the current research. So for the sampling technique, single population proportion formula was used to determine the sample size with the assumption of that the probability of tourism application of building public market food court in Bugasong Antique as 50% because there were no other similar previous studies in the same town or in the province of Antique for such concern with the assumption of 95% confidence interval and 5% margin of error. So, with the premise of 0% non-response rate, the sample size comprises 150 market goers of Bugasong Public Market, 50 Bugasong non-market goers, 50 neighboring town market goers, and 50 tourists who participated in the study. Simple random sampling technique was used to select those study participants. So for the instrument, these studies used a survey research because it possesses the measurement procedures that would require asking questions to respondents to come up with quantitative data for the analysis of tourism implication of building a public market food court in Bugasong, Antique. The survey type and questions provided to the respondents were guided response type questions because the questions created and provided required the respondents to recall a set of categories and use Likert scale and yes or no assessment. For this research, 5 questions: cleanliness in the local environment, frequency of trash cans and are cleaned in the restaurant's market, collection of waste materials, washing area availability, frequency of disinfection of restaurants and market area, about sanitation with a 4 scale Likert: 1 always, 2 usually, 3 sometimes, and 4 never. 4 question yes or no about the income contribution of the food court to the community or town, generate income, increase tax revenue, invite potential investors, and attract more customers. And 5 attitudinal question for the food quality with 5 scale Likert: 0 strongly disagree, 1 disagree, 2 neutral, 3 agree, and 4 strongly disagree. Strongly agree. Were created to identify tourism implication of building a public market food court in Bugasong, Antique. So the validity and reliability, this study used statistical conclusion validity to show a relationship if there is actually a positive implication to the tourism industry of Bugasong, Antique when a public market food court is built. Cronbach alpha was used to measure the internal consistency of building a public market food court's implication to the tourism industry of the said town. It is considered to be measure of scale reliability. So the data collection, the researcher used primary data collection in the research to gain information and data directly from the respondents based on the survey's questionnaire she handed to them. It is deemed primary data collection since she will be primary first person to utilize the data. So, data collected in translating surveys answers to her analysis and conclusion if there are really a positive implication of tourism if Bugasong Antique would want to build a public market food court. So, processing and analysis. After collecting the responses for the 150 respondents, the researcher was statistically tallied and calculated the responses according to the dependent variables, sanitation practices, the income contribution, and the food quality. The independent variables, Bugasong non-market goers, neighboring town market goers, and tourism market goers. So, I have here the table for the sanitation practices of restaurants of Bugasong Public Market according to the Bugasong non-market goers. So, here's the answer. Was the overall 92.40% of Bugasong non-market goers were saying that restaurants always observe proper sanitation, 5.20% said usually, and 2.40% said sometimes. So, the table 2 about sanitation practices of restaurants in Bugasong Public Market according to the neighboring town market goers. The neighboring town market goers, on the other hand, were saying that 94% of the restaurant in Bugasong Public Market are always observing proper sanitation, while 4% said usually and 2% said sometimes. So the table 3 sanitation practices of restaurants in Bugasong Public Market according to the tourist market goers. The tourists who happen to go to the market during Sundays and Wednesdays were also saying that 96.40% observed proper sanitation, 2.80% said usually, and 0.80% said sometimes. So the table 4, income contribution of building public food court in Bugasong Antique according to Bugasong noon, neighboring town and tourist market goers. For this dependent variable regarding to the food court's income contribution to tourism, all 150 respondents, 100% have said that having a food court in Bugasong Public Market will have an impact on the income of revenue of the municipality. Table 5, food quality when having a public food court in Bugasong Antique according to Bugasong neighboring towns and tourist market goers. Surprisingly, same with this dependent variable regarding the quality of the food that will be made available to the customer in the food court compared to restaurants. All 115 respondents also have said that having a food court instead of eating in a restaurant in Bugasong Public Market will give them equally serving, quality of dishes, cleaner food preparation, more food option, and would keep them from any threat of food poisoning and contamination. In summary, based on the number presented and the data collected, there is a huge tourism application of building a public market food court as a responses yield positive result to the question as significance to the market goers in terms of sanitation practices, income generation, and food quality. So for the data gathering instrument, the researcher used to collect the data is through survey questionnaires. She knows that data gathering has a very significant role in the research process. The questionnaire she created was directed to collect standardized data and helping her come up with analysis on the tourism implication of building a public market food court in Bugasong Antique. So that's all, and thank you.